Chapter 5 He is her boss. My grandma wants me to marry you, then take care of you and your children for the rest of your life. Are you willing to marry me? Elliot said bluntly. Although he was talking about marriage, his gaze was indifferent. It was like he was simply shouldering a responsibility. Feeling suddenly amused, Anastasia fluffed her long hair and looked at the man opposite. Take a good look at me. Do I look like the type who can never get married? She was very beautiful. In fact, it was not an overstatement to say that she was absolutely stunning. Miss Tillman, do you not want to marry me? Elliot twitched the corner of his mouth and silently breathed a sigh of relief. Although you are powerful and handsome, I don't care for you, Anastasia replied very confidently. Elliot's handsome face revealed a slightly startled expression. It seemed that he was not attractive at all to this woman. Oh well, that is exactly the result wanted, anyway. As he wished, they were not attracted to each other. I hope you can visit my grandmother in person, Miss Tillman. After all, only this woman could deny his grandmother's wishes because, in his heart, he was also responsible for another woman. Anastasia pondered for a few seconds, then asked with narrowed eyes, You really have acquired QR International Group? From now on, I'll be your boss, so don't worry. I'll take care of you. Elliot expressed that even though he couldn't marry her, he would take care of her at work. Hearing that, Anastasia blinked. Okay, let's do that then. Goodbye, President Pressgrave. Elliot was startled again at her words. Never before had a woman disregarded him so blatantly. Thus, Elliot got up and left. After he did, Anastasia let out a small sigh. Suddenly, Grace knocked on the door and asked, Anastasia, what are you talking about with President Pressgrave? Does he like you very much? Who said that? Everyone is saying that he has been staring at you in the conference room, Grace informed Anastasia with the current juicy gossip. When Anastasia heard that, she was annoyed. It seemed that Elliot was causing trouble for her at work. As a boss, he should be a good boss. She would just work under him, and he should not appear in front of her in the future. Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, Anastasia picked up the phone and called her father. Hello. May I know who it is? A familiar voice came from the other end. He also fell in love at first sight with Anastasia, who was young and beautiful, but he didn't expect that Elliot had already gotten ahead first. Tell President Pressgrave that I don't need special treatment in the company. After Anastasia finished speaking, she pushed the box toward Larry and repeated her words. Take it away. Anastasia still said firmly, Send it back. I really don't need it. Thank you. When Larry saw that she was serious, he had to take the box away. At this moment, Elliot did not go back to work in his company Dominion Corporation, but started working in the main office of Bourgeois instead. President Pressgrave, Anastasia won't accept this no matter what I said, Larry reported helplessly. Well. Elliot's dark eyes were cloudy. At the Tillman residence, Francis had just returned. He looked at his wife watching TV on the sofa, then sighed happily and said, Naomi, I received a call today. Guess who it was? Who? Naomi looked at him curiously. It was Anastasia. She had been living abroad for all these years. No wonder I had been unable to contact her, Francis said happily. Why are you still thinking about her? She embarrassed you in the past, so don't let her come back to this house. Naomi, I've been thinking for some time, and I feel that she's not that kind of person. There must be a misunderstanding, and anyway, it has been so many years since. Just let it pass. What misunderstanding? Erica photographed her frequenting that kind of place in the middle of the night. The evidence is solid. Naomi really didn't expect Anastasia, who had been driven out, to come back now. Did she notice our company's development and come back to compete for the family assets? Humph. It all belongs to my daughter. Seeing that his wife was not happy, Francis said no more and went upstairs, a little tired. Then, Naomi quickly picked up her phone and dialed her daughter's number. Hey. Mom. Erica, guess who's back? Who? That little B***TCH Anastasia contacted your dad today. She's back. What? How can she even come back? She must have taken a fancy to our family's assets and wants to return for a piece of the pie. With me here, she won't even get to lay a finger on it. Naomi snorted coldly, her face full of bitterness. I was able to drive her away 5 years ago, so even if she comes back, I can still drive her out again. Erica was also very confident about it. Anastasia's nose burned as she called out to the other side, Dad, it's me. I'm Anastasia. Anastasia? You. Where have you been in the past 5 years? I couldn't find you. Francis was pleasantly surprised. Now that the father and daughter were connected, how could any hatred last? Anastasia's eyes filled with tears as she said, Dad, I'm sorry. I have lived abroad for all these years, and now I'm back to work in the country. Okay, as long as you're back. When will you come home? I'll go home in 2 days. Okay, as long as you are healthy and safe. It's my fault. I shouldn't have driven you out. Let's forget about the past. Anastasia comforted him. She had gone through all the hardships, and she didn't want to think about them anymore. Okay, come back home as soon as possible. Francis sighed. Anastasia hung up the phone and took a deep breath. Actually, she still didn't want to go home yet. It was good enough as long as her father was healthy and safe. At this time, Larry knocked on the door and came over with a box in his hands. Anastasia, I'm here to bring you something. Anastasia looked at the box he put on the table in surprise. What is this? Guess. Anastasia looked at the box with the words, Cloud Residence No. 1 written on it. It was like the name of a building. You better tell me directly. Anastasia smiled, she didn't want to guess. Cloud Residence No. 1 is a luxurious large condominium unit of 370 square meters that is worth $120 million. It is a top property unit that is lavishly renovated and decorated with luxurious decoration, and it is ready for you to stay. You deserve it. Larry finished speaking and opened the box. There were 6 keys and a door card inside. Anastasia frowned. Is this for me? Anastasia, this is a special perk from President Pressgrave. He changed your residence to the Cloud Residence No. 1 unit. Aren't you surprised and excited about it? Take it away, I don't need it. Anastasia refused coldly. She didn't want to accept any favors from the Pressgrave family at all. When her mother died, she had gone through a very painful childhood. Her mother had died an honorable death, and she had lost her closest loved one. Hearing her refusal, Larry was dumbfounded for a few seconds. Did she just refuse such an amazing perk? Anastasia, you're not joking, are you? This is a perk that is only for you. Larry was 35 years old and single.